The house was always quiet in the early mornings, the kind of quiet that made every sound feel softer, almost sacred. And in that calm, a small Siamese cat named Milo moved like a shadowlight, graceful, curious. He had lived in the house long before the baby arrived. For months, Milo watched the parents prepare a room, fold tiny clothes, and place soft toys everywhere. He didn't understand the reason, but he felt change coming. Then one cold afternoon, the front door opened, and the parents walked in holding a tiny newborn wrapped in a white blanket. His name was Noah. At first, Milo kept his distance. The baby smelled different, sounded different, and occupied all the attention Milo used to receive. He watched from the hallway, his blue eyes alert and unsure. He'd sit at the edge of the living room, a silent observer in his own home, trying to make sense of this new little person who had suddenly become the center of the universe. The parents were gentle with him, always making sure he felt included, but Milo's world had undeniably shifted. He was no longer the sole focus of their affection, and a quiet sense of displacement settled over him. But everything changed one quiet evening. Noah was lying on a soft blanket in the living room, his little hands moving in the air, making small noises as if trying to talk to the world. Milo, driven not by courage but by an insatiable curiosity, stepped closer. He approached slowly, placing each paw carefully on the carpet, a deliberate and cautious advance. When he reached the edge of the blanket, he stopped. The baby really noticed him, and for the first time, Noah's tiny face lit up with a smile. It was small. Simple, pure, but it changed everything. Milo tilted his head, observing this tiny human with an intensity he usually reserved for a sunbeam on the wall. Noah lifted his hand, his fingers curling clumsily, and made contact with the cat's fur. It wasn't an intentional pet. Babies don't know how to do that yet. It was more of an accidental brush, a light, uncoordinated touch. But to Milo, that touch felt warm, gentle, accepting. In that small, innocent gesture, something clicked. From that moment, an unexpected friendship began to grow. Every morning before the parents even woke up, Milo would sit beside Noah's crib, waiting. He didn't meow or scratch at the door. He just watched over him, silent and patient, as if making sure the baby wasn't alone in the quiet of the dawn. When Noah started making soft cooing sounds, Milo responded with low, rumbling purrs, a conversation only the two of them could understand. When Noah kicked his tiny feet with excitement, Milo would tap the blanket with his paw, a playful invitation. And when Noah cried, Milo would walk in anxious circles beside the crib, nervous and confused, as if trying to understand what was causing his little friend to feel sad. As the weeks turned into months, Noah learned to follow Milo with his eyes. His parents noticed that whenever the Siamese cat entered the room, the baby's mood changed instantly. He became calmer, happier, more focused. It was as if Noah recognized something special in Milo, a familiar, comforting presence in a world he was still learning to understand. For a baby, the world is a blur of new sights and sounds, but Milo was a constant, a soft, purring anchor in his day. One afternoon, while Noah was having tummy time on the floor, Milo sat right behind him. He gently pressed his paw on the corner of the baby's blanket to keep it from sliding. Of course, Milo didn't know he was helping cats don't think like that. But to the parents watching from the doorway, it looked like a small, deliberate act of protection. A few moments later, Noah tried to lift his head for the first time, straining with the effort. Milo leaned forward, watching closely, his entire body poised. The moment Noah succeeded, raising his head proudly for a brief, wobbly second, Milo let out a soft, chirp-like sound, almost like a cheer of encouragement. This became their ritual. Every milestone the baby reached, Milo was there. The first real laugh, a bubbly sound that filled the room, happened when Milo chased his own tail in circles. The first attempt to crawl was a clumsy shuffle toward where Milo was napping in a patch of sunlight. The first time Noah sat up with his parents' help, Milo was right there, curling up next to him as if to offer support. He was always beside him, sometimes touching him gently with a paw, sometimes just observing with those deep, intelligent blue eyes. But the moment that truly sealed their bond happened late one night. Noah woke up crying softly. Not loudly enough to signal real distress, just enough to express discomfort. The parents, exhausted from a long day, didn't immediately hear him. But Milo did. He pushed the bedroom door open with his head, walked to the crib, and stood on his hind legs, resting his front paws gently on the wooden bars. He didn't meow. He didn't panic. He simply looked at the baby with the calmest expression, as if to say, "I'm here. It's okay." And just like that, Noah stopped crying. He looked back at the cat, his eyes watery but now filled with curiosity. Milo pressed his nose against the crib's wooden edge and let out a slow, warm purr, the kind that vibrates through the air like a lullaby. Within seconds, Noah calmed down completely. Within a minute, he had drifted back to sleep. When the parents finally came in to check on him, they found Milo still standing there, a silent guardian at the crib, watching over his friend with the patience of a seasoned protector. They understood in that quiet, profound moment that this wasn't just a pet observing a baby. This was a bond forming quietly, naturally, and beautifully. As the months continued to pass, their friendship only grew stronger. Noah learned to laugh hysterically whenever Milo flicked his tail. He would reach for him during naps, his small hand resting on Milo's soft fur. And Milo, once an independent and sometimes aloof cat, now followed the baby everywhere he was allowed to go. He'd wait outside the bathroom door and sit under the high chair during mealtimes, hoping for a stray piece of food but mostly just wanting to be near. There was no dramatic event, no daring rescue, no imminent danger. Their story was woven from small, quiet moments. It was just two small beings discovering the world together, one learning to crawl, the other learning to love in a new and profound way. It was a friendship built on purrs and coos, on gentle touches and shared silences. By the time Noah was old enough to say his first simple sounds, one of those sounds, soft, broken, and full of innocent effort, was me. Mo. It wasn't a perfect word, but Milo understood. His tail rose proudly and he rubbed his head gently against the baby's hand, a clear sign of affection and recognition. In that moment, the parents realized something beautiful. Their baby's first friend was a Siamese cat who had once watched from a distance, and then chose to become the closest heart in the room. Their story wasn't loud or heroic. It was quiet, tender, and completely real, a story of trust. A story of gentle beginnings. A story of a baby and a cat who chose each other long before either of them truly understood the meaning of love. And in the quiet corners of their home, that love continued to grow, a silent testament to the extraordinary friendships that can bloom in the most ordinary of places. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next one.